over.
Off.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Artists on Lockdown. I am Ron Onesti from the Arcada Theater in the Chicago area of St. Charles. So good to see you all. Not only am I from a theater, rock and roll heaven, we like to call it, I'm also the luckiest guy on the planet to each week be on the air with two of my heroes. These guys, they're Italian cousins of mine, but they are brothers. You got Carmine Appice, Vinny Appice. Who will ever get this right? Carmine Appice, Vinny Appice, Carmine from the Rod Stewart Band, Jeff Beck, Vanilla Fudge, of course, Vinny Appice, Black Sabbath, Dio, and so many other things. They are my co-hosts on Artist Lockdown this week, and our special guest, another tremendous friend, great guy, legend. Oh my gosh, I could go on for the whole show, describe our buddy from the band Chicago and CTA, Danny Seraphine. Danny, how you doing?
Yeah.
It's great to be here with my Italian brother, all Italian brothers. You know what?
Look at this. It's an Italian
all
fest.
Italians. This is, no one's.
Hey, sure this ain't the mafia?
I don't want to even don't even try to look sideways at me, right? At any of us. No, we're lovers. We're lovers. We don't want.
We're gonna whack them after the show.
Definitely. That's it.
It's so good to see all you guys. I know we're going through all this craziness. That's why we started this Artists on Lockdown stuff, but everybody is alive and well. You guys look great. We were talking earlier, Danny, about these guys' freaking hair. I don't know what the Appice mama did to get what seeds she planted in her son's heads, but they should sell those because they got great hair, these guys.
Hey, my father had hair when he was 87. He died at 87. He had a full head of hair.
We ate a lot of meatballs. It's all in the meatballs, Danny.
Yeah, well, then send
It can't be, no way.
Don't tell me about the fucking meatballs. Send them to me.
Well, it can't be, because if it was about the meatballs, I'd look like Shaft.
Yeah.
Ron makes the killer meatballs.
Ron's got the meatballs.
And his eggplant parmesan is just wonderful.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
So real quick here, Danny, well, with the guys, Vinny, how you been this week? What you been up to this week?
I've been good. I'm doing a lot of sessions in my little studio here for different projects. So it's good. All good. I'm doing one for my drum company and doing a teaching thing every week. So.
How about you, Carminucci? What are you doing over there?
I'm making the dogs some food here. They eat dog food.
Okay. I make eggplant parmesan. You make Elpo. Okay, I get it.
That's right. This morning I ate bologna and eggs and cheese. Cheese, really delicious.
You should fry the bologna. Very important.
I fried the bologna first.
Okay.
Of course.
Oh my God.
And you know how I got that? When I was a kid, I used to go to my school, and my gym teacher used to say, "Go get me lunch." And I figured, oh, cool, I can get out of school for 15 minutes. And every day it was the same thing, bologna and eggs on a Kaiser roll. So then I said one day, you know what? I got to go try that, because it's something good. Because as Vinny knows, we eat a lot of bologna and liverwurst in our house. And so I tried it, and I loved it. I really, really loved it.
That's good stuff. Good. When I was growing up and I was working at the Onion Roll Jewish Delicatessen out in Oak Park, and that's bologna and eggs. That's what they would have.
All right.
Just as long as I'm not standing behind you.
Hell yeah. It's so good to see you guys.
Bologna and eggs. Oh my God.
That's what that smell was. That's what that smell was in the house.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it's good to see all you guys here. Again, I am blessed. I am so lucky to be with these guys, these legends. Oh, my gosh, I can't get over it each week. And it's been so nice, Danny, because I've been hanging with Hanging and Banging with Carmine and Vinny. And each week, we've worked together 100 times. We've been doing this interview thing for a few weeks now. And every week I learn more and more about these guys, just heroes. And speaking of heroes, Danny, we go back, I don't even know how many years. But I am just such a fan. You've turned to be my brother.
Yeah, you're my little brother, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And it's
brother that I go to.
Hey, Vinny, you're my little brother too.
I know.
Not from another mother.
You've come to be such a brother, such a great friend, and we've hung together. We're going to talk about the career a little bit. We're going to talk about some of the moments that we've had, some of the moments you've had with my other brothers here on the brothers. But first of all, let's talk about CTA. That's a project, obviously. Look at this. I love this. I love here. Where can you see it? There. Yeah. Love that. Let me see here. There we go. And one of the things I love most is the song. One of the songs that you wrote for Chicago, "Take Me Back to Chicago," which brings tears to my eyes every time I put it on. You wrote that song, and naming your tour "Take Me Back to Chicago" tour. Absolutely love it. How's things going with CTA right now?
Well, like everyone else, we're really quiet. Although we have 2 gigs in July, believe it or not, we're playing Florida. Maybe I'll see Carmine. We're playing the Villages in Orlando. The Villages in Orlando. Yeah, we're playing. Everybody's going. Dig this. Everybody's going to be coming in golf carts. They say there's going to be 1,000 golf carts, and then we're playing. Yeah, we're July 9th. Yeah, July 9th through the 12th, we're playing Jazz Alley, a jazz club. But I guess Seattle was the first to come out of because they were the first to go into the coronavirus, the pandemic, and now they're one of the first that comes out of it. So I got 2 gigs, but that's it. And the next gig is with you in Des Plaines Theater.
Yeah, man,
October 9th. Right.
Going to bring in. So far, we're hoping to open up by then, man. I think it'll be amazing. Hopefully, we can bring Vanilla Fudge in with Robbie Krieger coming in.
Yeah. And our Cactus gigs that got canceled.
And Cactus, yes. So, Danny, let's talk a little bit about, and I also want to talk to Carmine and Vinny about this because you're all obviously very active at this time. But let's just for a moment talk about Terry Kath. We all know what a genius he was. We all know what a intense guitarist and vocalist, just musician he was. But let's talk about the time when that fateful night happened. Danny, you have some great memories. I shouldn't say great, but you have very vivid memories of what happened with Danny. And I'd love to hear you guys, Vinny and Carmine, how that affected you, what you were doing at the time about Terry's just untimely death. Danny?
Well, I had just gone to. I had Lakers in those days. I had Lakers season tickets, and I'd just gone to a Lakers game, and I had. I was driving. I'd left the game, and I was driving on my way home, and I had one of those original mobile phones because it was before cell phones, but built in my Mercedes, and my manager called me, Jeff Wald. We just got with him, and he said, "Hey, Terry just shot himself," and I said, "What?" He said he's dead. I said, "What? Don't fuck with me." I said, "Don't. Are you serious?" And he said, "Yeah." And he said, "Stay away from there. There's going to be all kinds of press." I said, "No, I got to go over there because I don't believe it." So I went over there to the house where he was, and sure enough, I walked in, and the guy who was with him, Don Johnson, was our keyboard tech. He hugged me like I was a life preserver. He was so freaking freaked out because obviously it had happened right in front of him. And he said, he was crying. He was hysterical. And I could see Terry was like sitting on the couch, his head back. And he had a hole in his head. And I just went and kind of, honestly, I went and sat next to him and put my hand on it. He was still warm. He wasn't even cold yet.
Oh, God, horrible.
And I said to him, I said, "Man, I hope you're at peace. I'm going to miss you. I love you." And I know you have, because Terry had, of all the people in the band, Terry had the roughest time handling the success and being a rock star. It really messed with him and took him away from his game, his stuff. We all kind of had tough times with it in different ways, but Terry was the roughest, and the drugs finally got to him. The drugs, it was drug induced what happened with Terry.
It was an accident though.
Yeah, I believe it was an accident. Yeah, I definitely believe it was an accident because the backstory, what I was told by his wife was he had been target practicing at his home in Malibu. He had a license he was a gun buff, and we had 6 weeks before that. I think it was 6 weeks, but it could have been longer. We had sat him down for like an intervention and said, "Hey, you got to stop fucking with the guns and drugs. You know, we're really worried about it." He said, "Don't worry, I can handle it. I can handle it." Because we had this mantra in the band, and Carmine probably can attest to it, and Vinny. Oh, we're man. We know our limits. Well, that's a bunch of bullshit. You know, when people we're wrapped up in drugs and alcohol, you forget your limits and you lose. So, anyways, he had been doing a lot of drugs, and he always had guns with him, and so he'd been target practicing. The police, somebody called the police on him, so he had an automatic pistol, and the police came and said, "Hey, you got to stop." He had a license, so it was, neighbors are complaining. He said, "Okay." So he took the clip out, but he didn't clear the chamber, right? You know, hey, you have to clear the chamber. So consequently, when he was out, so a couple of weeks later, he had his guns with him, and he was out snorting. He'd gone on a binge with this guy, Don Johnson, not the actor, and he pulled out his guns. He had them on the table. It was like early morning. They'd been up all night, and he had a revolver and the automatic, and so he spun the revolver and he put it to his head. And Don said, "Harry, what the fuck are you doing?" He said, "No, it's not loaded." And he said, "Oh no," he said. Then he picked up the other one. He said, "Don't worry, it's not." And
wow.
Yeah, it was definitely an accident, but it was, he was heading that way with the drugs, and I mean the whole band was messed up at that point, except for me. I was the only straight man in the band at that time, but it was terrible. It was a terrible time, and so. I mean, it broke my heart. It broke everybody's heart because he was such a really wonderful human being, and to lose him, it wasn't like it was a total surprise because, like I said, we had just had an intervention meeting with him, and it didn't really work, So
how about you guys? When you heard about it?
I was too young, so to really.
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was. I thought it was unbelievable when I heard it, But, it's like my guy in Cactus, Rusty Day, he was always screwing around with guns and stuff and drugs. He started dealing drugs, and then he got murdered. And not only him, but his 12-year-old son, were machine gunned to death in Florida in like 1982. And it's just terrible when that stuff happens. When you know somebody real close like that, and they die like that, so fast, It's different than having a disease. All of a sudden they're there and they're gone, It's terrible.
Yeah,
well, Danny, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, it was heartbreaking, and but I felt when it was very peaceful. When I sat next to him, it wasn't as gruesome as you might think. It was almost peaceful. I sat next to him, put my hand on his leg, and I looked at him, and I said, I want to say goodbye. I wanted to say goodbye to him because I believe in, if you're going to, like when someone's passing out, I always try to make sure I get to say goodbye to them, or if someone, like when someone's leaving the band, to me, it's really important to end things correctly. And I felt like that was the only way I could end it with Terry properly, was to tell him how much I loved him, I was going to miss him, and to say goodbye to him because I knew he was not happy, and I knew he wasn't of this world at that point. It was tragic, and because he was so young and such a beautiful person and an amazing musician and creator. But we've all had to deal. Everybody I know in this circle here has a story similar to that. People they've lost to drugs and alcohol, and
or cancer.
Yeah,
cancer. Oh, cancer.
Yeah, like Vinny with Ronnie, and Tim Bogert has got stage 4 cancer.
No, that's terrible.
It's terrible. And you're talking to him, he's going, says things like, "Well, I'm a dead man, so I'm just going to enjoy myself as much as I can." And
well, I'm sorry to hear that.
So sad. Yeah, me too. He's like a brother.
So, Danny, you played on how many Chicago albums? Was out there 40? Was it 12? How many albums you actually played? Do you remember?
Of the studio albums, all of them except for for 2 or 3 that they made that were recorded after I left the band in '90. So I played I think 19. I think 19 was the last album.
Almost half of them. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, but the other most of them are all are greatest hits. Like
Right.
there was only 3 studio albums after I left. Of that 3, I think they did 3.
Sure.
So,
And no, do you have a favorite of all those albums you played on?
Well, first, the second, 5th, the 7th.
But you know, it's
12,
interesting.
13,
You say that.
15, 19.
You say that.
Yeah.
You went first, second,
11 was great.
Yep. Yep.
You know, I love it. On some of them, and every one of them, there's something that I love. So I'm very proud of the legacy, and the music still sounds great today. And I know Carmine and Vinny have experienced the same thing when it's really good and the really great things that we did together still sound great, and that means more to me than almost anything. You know.
It's interesting to me that you went first, second, 5th. When for me, one of my favorite is Chicago 4, the Carnegie Hall 4 album set, and that the album side Ballet for a Girl in Buck Cannon.
Yeah.
What's that day like? Was it a long? Was it actually just a concert, start to finish?
Well, it was. Let me tell you about Carnegie Hall. It's not built for electric music. It's really not. So we were the very first, I think, rock band that played there, and the first 2 or 3 nights were nightmares. We had a week there. Luckily, they were nightmares. The horns were overblowing. I was getting so tired. The temples were dragging, and I just remember Terry went into a zone freeform solo, and I came out and followed me. Peter and Terry and I did a jam that just went to freaking Mars. And the band from that point on, we clicked, and it was great. But it was very, very trying. So that's why I don't have necessarily great memories with. But when I listen to it, I'm very proud of it. I think that there's some great live, really real, with mistakes and everything, out of pitch, horns overblowing, but it's still got a lot of magic. But Carnegie Hall is not meant for, like, I don't know if you've ever played there, Carmine or Vinny. It's not meant for live.
I've never played there. No, I don't think Vinny played there.
I'm banned from there.
Radio City is about it for Vinny.
Yeah, well, Radio City's cool too, but Carnegie Hall it's made for acoustic music, but it ended up, Ron, it's got some great. But if you listen to the first part of it, it sounds a little limp, and then all of a sudden, at the end of South California Purples, Terry goes into his own jam and just saved our ass. He took it to another planet, and I followed him, and it was one of those crazy jams, and that's where, and if you listen from that point on, it's great, but it was really scary. It was a terrible
for me. It was one of my favorite performances for me. I could see you doing it. You know what I mean? I could actually see, just by hearing, I could see you doing it. One of my favorite performances by you. Vinny, what is one of the, I brought this question up before, and you too, Carm, do you have a favorite album that you guys performed on?
Well, I want to say, when I heard Danny on the first couple of Chicago albums, I was still learning, going to lessons, doing my thing. I was young, and he was an inspiration with the stuff he played on those albums, fills and all that cool kind of rock jazz, So he really inspired me, and it was great to. We did a rock camp together, Danny and I. So
yeah,
we hang out with him.
Thanks. That's a great compliment.
You're the man.
Thank you, brother.
And the man for sure. How about you, Carm?
I don't know. I mean, the first, second, 5th.
Frankie Benelli.
You could all say that, right?
Yeah, I didn't. My first Fudge album, the BBA album, first Cactus album. They all ring a thing. The Blue Murder record. They all strike a real heavy chords with me. And as far as playing and songs and being able to play the songs and jamming on them, and I remember when Chicago came out. It was a little after Fudge, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. Yes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I was told that I don't know if it was you that told me or somebody else that you guys, the Fudge influenced you guys a bit, and I could hear it in the vocals.
I'll tell you, our manager producer, who was a brilliant guy, James William Gersio. He pulled us aside. We hadn't really. He said, "You got listen to Vanilla Fudge, and what they did with Keep Me Hanging On and a couple." He said, "You guys." So what we did is we started taking, like "Hold On, I'm Coming" by Sam and Dave,
right.
Little Anthony and the Imperial is going out of my head, and a few other things, and we did our own. And and they were phenomenal with the horn, horns and everything.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, there was definitely the fudge, definitely had a great influence and direction, especially before we started doing our own material, because we hadn't started doing it, and so we did original arrangements of the hit songs we were doing, and our producer wanted us to do an album, which we should have done. We should have recorded it, but I fought him. I didn't. What do you want to do that for? We already did that. It was really one of my bad moves because it was really cool. So yeah. So Carmine definitely had an influence on me. The 16th note bass drum, and those heavy punches on the, with the band. So
yeah. Well, R&B. We used to listen to R&B.
Yeah,
we
me too.
were like a white soul band that made heavy.
Yeah.
And it started getting heavy with the amplifiers, and then it made me play harder and louder because. You couldn't hear any drums. There were no PA systems back in those days. Do you remember in those days? Did we have monitors? I don't even remember ever having monitors.
No, there were no monitors. That's why ears are screwed so bad. I felt so bad tonight.
One time I went up on stage where Vinny was playing with Dio. I sat behind his drums and played his drums. Those monitors were so deafening. It was ridiculous. And I was thinking back to the point when we used to play gigs, we had no monitors.
Well, I'll tell you what I did is I used to wear headphones. I actually wore headphones. Because that was the only way I could play my style with the jazz rock.
And where did they plug into?
They did. Well, they plugged it. They just sent me a feed instead of monitors. I wore headphones.
Almost like in-ears.
Yeah, but
that's innovating. That's innovating.
Yeah, if you can see, if you look at early pictures of me performing, I wore headphones, and I could actually. The only way I could hear my kick drum and.
Oh yeah, there you are. Yeah. That's you. Oh my God, look at you.
Yeah, with hair.
A beatnik.
Yeah, looks like a beatnik.
Yeah.
Are those stainless steel Ludwigs?
Oh yeah.
No, that's Slingerland. That's Slingerland.
Oh, Slingerland. Stainless steel, or were they just
concert Tom?
This
one here is the Slingerland concert, but that one there.
That's Slingerland. Yeah. That's just yes, it's Slingerland, but it's just a wrap. It's a copper.
Oh, it's a wrap.
Color wrap. Yeah.
Because I had a stainless steel Ludwig at one point, and when I was with Rod, and it kept feeding back because of the metal. So I gave it back to them. I got a wood set.
I like wood drums, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Vinny and I got to do the rock can, and I got to hear he's your little brother, right?
Yep.
Is he? Yeah. Plays his fucking ass off.
Yes, right. I know.
This guy, and he doesn't need double bass drum pedals like we do. I mean, what a foot! What a foot! In fact, I got to get.
Yeah, but he was chicken to follow Buddy Rich.
I love Buddy Rich.
At the drum off we did, Buddy was a judge, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And at the end, we always play together. So I said, "Who wants to follow Buddy?" Vinny, come on, you can follow Buddy. You got fast hands and feet. He goes, "Not me. I don't want to follow Buddy."
Who wants to follow
Everybody.
That's following Buddy. That's a suicide. That's a suicide.
Guess who followed Buddy? Guess who followed Buddy? I did. I got double bass drums. I'll follow Buddy. Yeah. And I did. But you were going to play with Buddy's band. I played with him at the cutting. I saw you play with them.
Yeah. What a great feeling playing with that band. Oh,
yeah.
I loved Buddy. He was a great. People talk about. He's a wonderful human being. I loved him. Really a good person.
I loved him too.
If he liked you, he was just the greatest.
The greatest guy. We told our story, our Buddy story online. Didn't we tell that story to you, Ron?
A couple, please. It's a great story.
Yeah, I mean, when he played the Starwood in L.A., Vinny and I went to see him after a long thing, and I thought he was pitched up.
It was Disneyland. It's not the Starwood.
Oh, it was the Starwood.
It was at the Coronation Plaza. I remember because then we just went outside.
That's later. That's the second time.
But he spoke to join with him.
The first time was at the Starwood, right? And my manager wanted me to play with him, and I didn't want to do it. But anyway, he thought I was challenging to a drum battle, like that other asshole, Jim Jamaica, right? And so when we went in, Kathy said, "Hey, buddy, this is Carmine who was going to play." "Oh, you mean that other asshole, like that asshole in Ginger?" He's screaming. So we're going, "No." So when she said, "Come in to see Buddy," I said, "Vinny, you come with me. I'm not going alone." So we went in and tell him the story. He goes, "Well, do you smoke?" I said, "No, I don't smoke." He goes, "Do you smoke?" I said, "No, I don't smoke." He says, "But do you smoke?" I said, "What, pot?" He goes, "Yeah, pot." I'm like, "Yeah, we smoke pot." Pulls out a chocolate joint, lights it, hands it to me. And I'm smoking. I go, "I can't believe this." I hand it to Vinny. Vinny's thinking the same thing. Then we go out and watch him play. And he plays his ass off. And me and Vinny are like smacked out of our fucking heads.
Can't even say
So how is he playing like that? He was crazy.
Yeah, he was such a, he's still, I listen to him a lot, even to this day. I listen to Buddy all the time.
Him
all the time.
Krupa.
Yeah, Krupa, I love Krupa. I watched the Gene Krupa story the other night. I got a link.
Yeah, I watched it too the other night.
Yeah,
on YouTube?
On YouTube.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can see in the background there. I don't know, all the way back. Let's see, right over on my speakeasy. This right there, that's on my mural. That's Krupa.
Yeah.
Oh, right there. Right there.
Yeah, I gotta bring it closer. The speakeasy here.
Yeah,
he was so good.
Yeah.
Carmine and I were on tour in Europe. This was about 10, 12 years ago. And we played a place that had stuff all around the walls, like a jazz club. And there was Gene Krupa's drumsticks.
One drumstick.
And they was so primitive. Like, it looks like there wasn't machines that really made them perfect like today.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was a weird old, and it's so old. You look at it and go, wow.
Yeah. I went to Washington to play a couple of 2-3 years ago with those guys we play with, Vin, and they gave us a tour of the Smithsonian.
Oh wow!
Private tour, and there in behind a glass is Gene Krupa's original bass drum.
Oh wow!
With the GK on it, and BG Benny Goodman.
Benny Goodman, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Original bass drum head.
How cool is that?
Amazing.
The original bass drum head or bass drum?
Head, the bass drum and head.
And
so if you look over here, right there on the wall, that's Benny Goodman.
Oh, really?
Right there.
Oh, you got everybody we're talking about. Who else?
I know. Hey, Danny, by the way, your daughter Maria is watching. Wants to say hi. And
hello, I love her, and I miss you, Maria. I need to get in.
She's hearing you.
Where's Maria live?
Chicago, by us.
Oh, by you. Oh.
She's at the Arcana all the time. So hi, Maria. Also got a great question. I think it's a great question. It may have something to some legs or not. Ernest gave us this question. He said that he asks, during the Carnegie Hall album and Bootlegs and earlier projects, it seemed like Terry was doing a lot of talking during that, but afterwards did not seem like Jimmy Fanco started taking over all the side conversations. Was that official? Was told? Did Jimmy say, "Look, I'm the star of the show"?
No, it just kind of happened organically. Terry. I think Terry. Terry was not a real talkative person to begin with, and I think he would only if he felt so impelled, he felt like inspired to talk, he would say something. He wouldn't care if people liked it or not. He pretty much had a mind of his own. And Jimmy, Jimmy just started stepping out more and more. And, whenever he talked, we'd make fun of him. He was poor Jimmy. We were brutal with him. I mean, when we first time we played Auditorium Theater, that used to be like our homecoming, like when we finally made it.
In Chicago.
And he introduced the ballet for a girl in Buchanan. And he said, and he got on the mic and he said, "This is my song. This is a song I just wrote called The Ballet for a Girl in Buchanan." He said, "Oh, by the way, that girl is here tonight." And we went, you could hear us in the back go, oh fuck, are you kidding me? He just said that? The whole band was like, you could hear us laughing because he was so pussy whipped with this girl. Oh my God. He missed the band gig to take her to a prom, and he told us he was sick. And, well, we gave him we practically hung him.
How old was he at the time he's taking a girl to prom?
Well, he was college, but she was in high school. But he was in high school. She was in high school. So, but anyways, the stories.
Let's go.
The stories. Yeah, we have tons of stories, right? You guys. I mean, you guys take over.
I just watched the movie, your movie on Netflix, or where was it on? Netflix or Amazon?
Oh yeah,
About Chicago.
Documentary?
yeah. Yeah, you mean where they said they didn't know where one was?
Yeah, didn't know a woman. But man, you guys are crazy in the airplanes, man, doing donuts and shit.
Yeah, doing
Well,
negative
I didn't
G's.
see. I didn't see it. What were they doing?
They were doing the going up and then dropping, so you're weightless.
Yeah.
Oh! When you're
In the private
plane.
jets. Yeah,
In the
stupid
jet.
stuff.
I would have died.
Yeah.
Well, it got.
Well, when you're young, it's easier, but
Yeah, I couldn't do it now. No.
now you hit turbulence, you go, oh shit.
With all the stuff that was going on, you guys on the road, do you have, I know we got a couple of great stories from Vinny and Carmine. Do you have one particular time that the band was just out of control nuts?
No,
Me?
I know.
I might have one, but I don't think I should tell it. I got
Oh,
grandkids and
man.
daughters.
Well, it's in your book. You got a great book.
Watch the movie.
It's in my,
Watch the movie.
It's in my book
did.
too, though. Like
Your book was
Carmine's got all of his dirt in his book.
it's all in my book too.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Well, I mean,
I got
just when we used to travel with regular planes, and we had everybody like Jimi Hendrix, Vanilla Fudge, two other bands on one plane. We would like put the pillows that they used to give you a little pillow. Put the pillow on Tim's head, and put his glasses on, and then grab the megaphone, and we start singing Winchester Cathedral, and send him up to like first class. You know, there was that curtain. He'd walk through the curtain first class, and the stewardesses would go absolutely nuts. You know, those are the funny days of
Now you get arrested. Now you get arrested.
That's right. Thrown to the ground.
You'd totally be arrested now.
Do you guys remember the movie Cat Ballou with Lee Marvin? You remember that? Where
Yeah.
The sheriff that was. Well, Jane Fonda, and so we were in a first class. We were flying to Hawaii, a long flight, and he's in first class with us. Oh my God, did it get crazy! And Paul Newman was there too. So Paul Newman was very subtle, more quiet, but he'd come in and hang. It was, I mean, Lee Marvin was absolutely crazy, absolutely bedbug crazy, but fun crazy. I mean, he just like in the movie, he had just done that movie, and he was still in character. It was crazy. So yeah, we have a lot of fun. We've had a lot of fun.
You guys really hit the international scene big. I mean, really big. What was it? Japan? Was Chicago? I mean, big everywhere. What was the biggest show that you played overseas that was just out of control?
I think in Germany, we played Zeppelin Field, which is where Hitler had his, the big. Remember, you see those films. And I remember the German promoter, and they still had the swastika things up on that thing. Yeah, because for historical. And I remember the guy, his name was Rudy, and he said, boy, Hitler would roll over in his grave now. And they're doing a rock concert with Santana. It was actually really cool. The German people, I love that. I love the German people. You got to love it. That's one of the great gifts that we get, is being able to play for like the Japanese, the Germans, the Italians, and you guys. I'm sure Vinny's got a ton of like great, like so many great stories and concerts.
Oh yeah.
Hey, we Dio recorded where you guys recorded at Caribou Ranch. We did the second Dio album there, so we spent about 6 weeks up there. That was pretty interesting, Yeah, but it was a lot of snow, and we couldn't get used to the altitude for a couple of days, But,
the altitude's that's 12,000 feet. Think about that.
Yeah.
If you're sea level, look up to see how far 12,000 feet is. It's really hard on the singers.
Yeah, Ronnie. We took our time getting sounds, and we were up there for probably 3 days before we started recording, and Ronnie started singing, but it got boring after a while, so we went down into Boulder.
Yeah, that's what I used to try to make last call into Boulder to find the way.
Got some party material, came back, and
yeah, that's right.
Had the parties.
Yeah,
the party.
Jimmy Bain, our bass player, who was the host. He was the host, director of entertainment for Caribou Ranch.
Yeah, we had a great.
Everybody had one.
Even the Elks start looking good.
Come on now. Hey, Danny, we got a great question from Chris out there, and something I've always wanted to ask you myself. Laudier, percussionist, first few albums, of course, played out there at the ranch. How did you did you like playing with a percussionist at the level of Laudier? Miss him? Does that have an effect on CTA?
Well, first of all, Laudier was one of the greatest percussionists. Most musical.
Yeah, I know, that's loud.
One of the greatest percussionists I ever played with. He was
Hold on, guys. I'm gonna mute for a minute.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. Yeah, he was one of the greatest percussionists I ever heard, played with. I loved it. We played together like hand in glove. And of course I miss him. He passed away, but I got to see him during the Hall of Fame induction, and so we got to hang out. He wasn't included in the ceremony because they only wanted originals, but he should have been. He was a great addition to the band, and after he left the band, and our music had gone a vastly different direction, and we weren't really doing the Latin thing much anymore, so it didn't really work out having him full time in the band. But he was wonderful. What a beautiful person, and what a great percussionist.
Mononucleosis, man.
Yeah. Yep.
Just one of my favorite cuts. Incredible. Yeah. So you touched on. Let's touch on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because that was really special. As soon as I heard that you were getting inducted, I got my tickets right away. I was so excited.
Yeah, you were there. You were there.
I was so excited to be there with you, and you're so kind and welcoming. And I was at your after party and hung with you. It was just an honor for me, and to see you there and to see you on the stage. Now, walk us through the whole process when you first heard that. Did you hear that you were being the nomination? How did that happen? And when you actually got called, and did you feel were you sure that you were going to be invited because of all the whatever fireworks was going on between you and the band at one time?
No, I really wasn't sure, to be honest. I mean, my paranoia at times got the best of me. I thought, oh, they're gonna keep me out, but then I just let it be known that I wanted to perform with the band, and for the last time, I didn't feel like I was going to get back with the band. It was but there would be I wanted to have it to be a reunion and a kind of coming together and celebration of great music we played together, and to walk away as friends. Didn't quite work out that way, but the reunion part was great. Playing together was great, and then my speech happened.
Well, your speech, I tell you what, just like if you look at you can Google it, folks. The speech is there. It's on YouTube. There it is. You'll watch the looks on the faces of Walt, and I think it was Lee back there, and even Robert. You get a little bit in the back there about their response to your acceptance. And the way you finished it, I don't know. Can we watch it? Can you watch it then? Can we play it or no? Let's see. Put it in the microphone. There we go.
Is my mic on? Okay, everyone yelled at me. I've been kind of away for 25 years, in case you noticed, or haven't noticed, probably haven't noticed, but this is I want to thank the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for making this possible. I'm going to get to play with my band for the first time. I want to tell you a story about a band of brothers. 1968, we're at a Dodger game. We're going to see the Cubs play the Dodgers. Peter Cetera gets in a fight with a Marine. Bad idea. He got his jaw broken, right? Took him to the hospital. They wired his mouth shut. 10 days later, he's on the fucking road, performing his ass off. Now that's balls. And Rob said badass. It was a badass band. That gave me so much belief that we could do anything. Fast forward 6 years, Robert playing basketball backstage, trying to dunk. White people can't dunk, Robert. He breaks his fucking leg. We miss a gig. The next day, he's got a full cast and he's playing B3 for 6 more weeks. That's what this band was all about. And that's why one of the reasons we were so successful, in my opinion, is what we lived together, as most bands do. We cried together, we fought together, we fucked together. Did I really say that? We died together. We had to bury one of our best friends. Our hearts were broken. I miss him every day. Terry Cat. As every band has spoken, it takes a village to do what we do, and they, you can't thank them all, but I have to thank James Wayne Garcia. He gave us our name, right? Just pointed us in the right direction, paid our bills, and gave us, enough money to eat for 6 months while we conceived Chicago Transit Authority. And there's Howard Kaufman, who always made sure we had good business, right? Jack Gowdy always had our back for many years, our road manager for 18 years or more than that, till he tragically passed away. Larry Fitzgerald, we had a dream team management team, and you can't do it without a dream team management. If you have bad management, no matter how good you are, you're done. So we've been really blessed, and the producers we've been able to work with, David Foster, right? Made amazing records for us. Phil Ramone, the great Phil Ramone, Tom Dowd, Ron Neverson, Chaz Sanford. I want to thank a few more people that really, really made major contributions. Please wrap it up. Screw you.
Screw you.
I waited 25 fucking years for this. I won't leave them. Okay, we got to thank Bill Champlin, Donnie Dacus, Laugier de Oliveira. Please, give them what they deserve. Chris Pettit, Dwayne Bailey. Even my bandmates are telling me to get the fuck out. Hey! So anyways, tonight I get to play with them for the first time in 25 years. I'm going to enjoy it. We're going to burn up the stage.
So that's one of my favorite speeches from all time accepted, especially like Jimmy Valvano when he's got his body full of cancer and they're telling him, you only got 60 seconds. Like this guy telling me I got 60 seconds. My body's full of tumors. He's telling me I got 60. Same thing with you. Screw you. I've been waiting 25 years to get to the stage. I ain't getting off. I love it.
Yeah. I had fun.
Right.
Good job.
Because you actually got to play with your band first time. It wasn't just being there with them, but you got to play with them. What was it like? I mean, I know it was wonderful, but I mean, was there a moment where you got choked up or like you got caught up in the moment?
I was choked up the whole time. As you can see, I'm holding back. I'm having to hold back the emotions. I mean, I practically broke down at the very beginning of the speech, but it's a great night. It's a great moment. It was heaven. It was heaven and hell, but more heaven than hell. I can tell you that. It was. I wish Peter would have been there. I was so sad that it didn't work out where Peter made it, because that would have made it incredible for me if Peter could have been there. But it was a great night that I'll never forget, and they make you feel they do a great job making you feel really great about your music, and it was a great evening. That's all I can say. And I'm glad you were there, Ronnie.
Well, it's a big night for me personally. Wow, there we are. Look at that.
Hey.
Look at that. And Danny.
You're looking pretty sharp there, Ron. You're looking pretty
Looks like
sharp.
the Godfather.
Yeah.
That's right.
Makeup I can do. Look at us. Hey, I got that night was really, really something, Dan. And okay, I got to tell my story. Pardon me if you won't give me a second here on this, because it was really special. So, again, like I bring you guys in most of the time. You guys come in the night before, stay at a hotel, and you do your gig by me, and then you leave. Same thing with Danny. We're doing a CTA show, and I had a different show with an Italian performer, Zucchero. Do you guys know Zucchero from Italy? One of the biggest acts in Italy. He discovered Bocelli. It was Eric Clapton's favorite guy. Anyway, I bring in an act from Italy. Danny's here the night before. He's like, hey, man, what are you doing? I said, I got a show tonight, Dan. He goes, can I come downtown to the, what was it, the Vic Theater, I think, downtown Chicago.
Right.
I said, yeah, man, come on by, just hang out. So he's just hanging with me the whole night. And I'm, me, you guys know what I do, just like I know you guys do. I'm running around before a show, making things happen, whatever. And there was these idiots in the audience that wouldn't move their chairs or whatever it was. They got to be really idiots. I was going back and forth. Well, one of them squares up to me. Like, come on, Ron, or sorry, he doesn't know who I was, but he squares up to me. And me, I'm Italian from our little Italy, Taylor Street. I might get a little hot-headed too. And I start to square up to him. What happens? Freaking Danny steps in front of me with his fists out, protected me, saying, come on, let's go. I'm like, no. And so I didn't get hurt. But Danny stuck up for me that night. I'll never forget that, Danny.
Well, there was actually 2 or 3 of them that were going to come after.
I know. I think I've been on Fortnite too.
And they were bigger than both of us. I had a leather jacket on, and I put my hand in the jacket like I had a gun because that was the only way it was going to slow them down. And they backed down. But I did the old Godfather thing in the movie. I actually put my hand in the jacket and looked at them. I had and they said no. They didn't know that I was just a drummer.
But that's the kind of guy he is. He's a Chicago guy, a neighborhood guy, a street guy, and a great friend and a brother. That's the kind of guy he is. Just like you two down there.
Yeah, man.
We have great memories with these guys, and they're great friends. And I couldn't be happier being on with all you guys.
Yeah, I'm glad we thought about that, getting you on, because you're one of the dudes.
Right? Absolutely. So, do you keep in touch with any of the Chicago guys, Danny? I mean, is there a chance you think ever that you'll join them back on stage?
At one time I was hopeful that it might happen, but I don't think so. I was texting with Peter. Peter and I have been communicating. I'm tight. We're still tight with Bill Champlin, and Jason Sheff and I are real close. But unfortunately, I don't have much of a relationship with the original band, and there's a lot of history behind that. No need to get into the weeds with that crap. It's just typical band stuff, and but I wish them well. I don't want bad things for them. I want them to be successful. I have great memories. Nothing but I have 96% of my memories with them are fabulous. I mean, great memories, and I'm very thankful that I was part of that band, and I was an important part. I know because.
Oh yeah. Didn't you start it?
Yeah, it was in a sense. I guess you could say I'm the founding member, but it isn't told that way in the story. But Walt and I basically were the co-founders of the band, and Terry too. We were the first 3. I went to Walt and said with the idea, let's put an all-star band together because Walt was about to get his degree in his bachelor's degree in clarinet. And he was being groomed for the second chair of the Chicago Symphony. He's a fabulous musician. Yep. And at that point, Terry had played bass in the first 2 bands that I was in with them. He was as great a guitar player he was also a really great bass player. Amazing feel, amazing pocket. And so Walt and I knew how good of a guitar player Terry was, and so when this local band we were in was kind of disintegrating, and they were going to go their separate direction. I'm going, shit, these are my musical soulmates. I'm going to lose them. So I went to Walt and said, hey, let's
hold on, sorry.
Ow.
Okay, sorry, Carmine. So I went to Walt and said, I'm going to miss you, brother. I don't want to lose you. We've got such a great thing. He said, yeah, I feel the same way. Let's put an all-star band together, a horn band of all the best players in the city, and really, really go for it. Go for it all the way, in the sense of total commitment. And he said, let me talk to my wife, because they were he was kind of going to retire from playing clubs, which I didn't blame him. He talked to his wife and said, sure, whatever you do, I'll support. And he came back to me, and then Terry had been enlisted in a band called the Illinois Speed Press, which was a local band out of Chicago called the Robinkind, really well-known, great rock band. And he was going to play bass with them. And they were going to go out to the West Coast and record an album. Terry just was in the worst way, wanted to get out of Chicago and get into the hippie scene, the flower power thing. So, but we talked to Terry and we said, hey, Terry, why don't you just stay and play guitar in our band? And he said, look, it really took him like about a minute and a half. He said, yeah, I'm gonna pass on that gig. want to stay with you guys. I want to stay. I don't want to leave. So that was the nucleus of what would be Chicago Transit Authority, and then Chicago, and then that's it. And then Peter came in. We brought Peter in 6 months later. Believe it or not, we did all of our early gigs with just organ bass, with Robert Lamb on B3 and organ bass. So, you know.
Danny, how much, obviously you're coming around, was around 1966, 67, 68 when you guys are getting together. How much of an influence was that whole movement of the Chicago garage rock? Your Buckingham, Shadows of Night, New Colony 6, Crying Shames, also, of course, the Ides of March. How much of that horn band was that an influence for you guys?
Well, the Buckinghams were really close friends of ours. And they're Italians, like, from the neighborhood. And they were the very first band out of Chicago to really make it, with that kind of a dragon. That producer, that James William Guercio, was their producer. And so there was that connection. So the Buckinghams, was a big, the New Colony 6 was a little bit after us, I think, and Ides of March was a little bit after us. But I love that. I love Vehicle, and the scene, it was so diverse. Obviously, big jazz, super R&B, heavy R&B, like New York, like much of, and Gene Krupa being my first drum hero. I actually learned to play on the Gene Krupa soundtrack. So that's what better way can you learn to play?
Me too.
Yeah,
me too.
and you can hear it in our playing, because I was listening to. Sometimes I pull out the old. I was listening on the plane today. I'm a Man, and I'm saying, God, there's a lot of Gene Krupa licks in there. Yeah. I mean, almost identical. I would never. It wasn't intentional, but that's from listening to that. But he played. He was a wonderful, wonderful musician. But anyways, around it was such a great Baby Huey and the Babysitters, all the R&B, and then the combination of the rock. The rock influences, the Shadows of Night, right?
Right. Gloria. Yep.
It was a great place to be to grow up. And I know Carmine feels the same way, and Vinny. There's so much music running through around us, and to absorb all these different styles. And my goal was, and it really was a goal when I first really started studying seriously, was to find ways to connect the jazz and the rock, to fuse them, to make it just mesh them together, and classical. And that's the teachers that I had really helped me formulate that path. So I was very lucky. I couldn't have asked for a better.
Yeah, I always wanted to bring the Krupa thing into rock.
Yeah,
I've done a few times on the first Cactus record in my solo. Yeah. The part in the Gene Krupa story when he goes like boom, 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 and then the band answers, and then they set up these three patterns. But we did that with the guitar, bass, and drums. And then once we set the pattern, I did a solo over it. Very Gene Krupa solo,
Yeah, that's a great.
Just loved it. I know every note. I know every note on that album.
I showed Carmine that too. I taught him how to do that.
Yeah, right.
Did you?
Did. So, yeah. He's 11 years younger than me. When I made it, he was like 9.
But I still showed him.
I bet.
Andy, you touched on the R&B influence a little bit as well. It's no secret the Beatles' big influence was Little Richard. You see the Stones, theirs was like Buddy Guy and Howlin' Wolf and those kind of guys. Did the band Chicago have like a R&B influence, one or two that they really, really, fed off of?
James Brown was a big one. James Brown was huge. So James Brown's drummer was a monster. His original drummer was Clayton Filliard. It was before Stubblefield and all, and he was a legend in Chicago. And some of the drummers that I emulated really emulated him. And I got a chance to meet him many years later. We were playing a big show, and it was with Sam and Dave, and he drove the. I don't know if this is tragic, but he was driving the bus for Sam and Dave, and he introduced himself, and I said, "Wait a minute!" And I had him play for me. Oh, he sounded like some of the stuff that he did on. He was live at the Apollo. I think he was the one that was live at the Apollo, but phenomenal drummer. So there was a bunch of black dudes, drummers that I studied and learned from, and as well as white cats. You know, I've had many great influences. Buddy and Gene and
Oh, sure.
Alvin Jones. I studied with Papa Joe Jones. Whenever I'd come to New York, I'd go to Pro Percussion, and with Frank Ippolito's place. I believe that's what his place.
Yeah.
And I studied with, and that was such a big part of my playing, and I really learned to really swing from Joe Jones, and been lucky. I've been really lucky. So I hope that I really wish that for all of the young players, that they're able to have that rich, history of studying with the masters. There's so much to learn.
Yeah.
There's definitely masters, and you three are on the stage doing clinics, man. I tell you what.
Yeah.
And you're all generous that way. I noticed that about each and every one of you. So generous about giving advice, working with clinics, working with kids, or new drummers, I should say. And on behalf of all of them, I want to thank all three of you guys for your generosity for up and comers, because you're always generous to share your experiences.
Well,
thank you.
It's important. You have to do that. You have to because
not everybody feels that way. Coming from my side of the world, not everybody's as nice as you three. Let me just say that. But anyway, beside that, I ask this question every all these interviews that we do. It's a question that I always want to know. I've asked these guys, of course. Danny, you've been doing this for a long time. You played for presidents and kings. You played for so many people, with so many people. What is something, either a gift or a piece of memorabilia, something that if your house is on fire, you run and you grab it before you left? Something really near and dear to your heart.
That's a tough question, Ron. I don't know.
It is, right?
It is.
I know.
I'm thinking, what would I grab? Besides my snare drum and my favorite snare drum, or Grammy, or I don't know, Ron. I don't have.
It's interesting in and of itself. You have a favorite snare drum?
Yeah, a few of them. Yeah. I have one that I recorded all the hits, a lot of hits on it, and I still. It's a old wooden. It was made by a guy named Paul Jameson. He was Jeff Picardo.
I know Paul.
Yeah. He made a snare drum for me. It's a Radio King. It's an old Slingler wooden Radio King. It just records beautifully. So that would be.
Well, that's classic right there. The building, God forbid, is in flames. You wouldn't take your jewelry, your watches. I want my snare. Give me my damn snare. And you're running out with a snare.
Well, that's something that couldn't be replaced.
Hey, what about the Mercedes?
Nah, that'd burn. Fuck the Mercedes. we can replace that.
It's funny. Today I just sent a. Vinny Thomas sent it to a friend of mine because it was sitting in my locker, and he's going to work with me in the future on my drum books, and he's a Slingerland fanatic. Dave Hakim. Do you know Dave? He used to work for Warner Brothers Publications to do all the books. Anyway, so he's paid for it. I sent him the Gene Krupa kit I had, from Slingerland in 2003, because the drums they sit in your locker. They're made to be played.
Yeah, they are made to be. Yeah, the Gene Krupa
I told him, look, I'll let you borrow the kit as long as you want. But God forbid something happens to you, put it in your estate that you send the kit back to me. And he said, fine, But it's on the way to him, that Gene Krupa kit, Radio King snare.
Oh, I bet it sounds.
I'd love
to play that.
It sounds awesome. Yeah. It sounds awesome. It's like I have a pink leopard Slingerland kit in my newly made studio that Vinny's building me a computer to record with.
Oh, that's nice.
And
but you can't get any parts from China anymore. They're sold out. No, everywhere sold out. You can't get computer parts.
Great. So what do we do? Anyway, we'll talk about that later. But anyway, this Slingerland kit, I've been putting it on my Facebook just my phone, and it just sounds amazing. People are saying, "What is that kit? What's this?" I had to do a tour of the kit, on the Facebook so people can see what it is. It's just those Slingerlands when they made them, the last.
They're wonderful. Yeah, they're great.
Even in the 2000s, they made them just like they did in the old days.
Yeah, they're beautiful drums, and I'm glad DW is making them again. I'm happy. That's going to be great. Yeah,
I'm curious to see what's going to happen.
I think they're going to really, knowing them, they're going to. They told me they're going to really John Good is studying the shells, how they made the shells, the hardware, everything. And
Yeah,
I know it'll be good. They make fabulous drums. I love TW.
They do just the snare drum. I think they're doing first.
Yeah, the Radio King.
Radio King. Yeah, and I got the killer Radio King kit. It's the whole.
I'd love that. I'd love to play that sometime.
This Radio King has 4 bass drums, and it's purple leopard lacquer, and I've never played them. It's got like 6 toms and a 20 by 20 tom.
Wow. 20 by 20. Holy cow.
Right. And, it just, when you open the shell, the case, it smells like paint. You know,
Yeah.
it was the last big kit Slingland made before they closed the doors. You know, and dismantled the factory.
When I come to Florida, I want to play them.
Well, that kid's in L.A. So.
Oh, that kid's in L.A. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but like I said, it's not played. It's sitting in the case. That's why I let Dave use the Gene Krupa kit. But this pink leopard kit I have here sounds amazing, as well.
It's just that it's pink leopard.
What'd you say, Vinny?
It's just that it's pink leopard.
That's right.
You have to wear a nice shirt with it, matching.
I do. I wear a black and pink leopard shirt.
There you go.
It's what's underneath that counts, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to tell everybody out there we're now on on YouTube, so please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Artists on Lockdown, obviously Facebook, all the formats. We're just killing it. Please like, share, tell your friends. We're doing a lot of this. We've got so much happening in the future. Danny, we've got, obviously, you're going crazy with CTA, and you're still performing. It's so cool about all 3 of you, as legendary as you all are, as accomplished, the amount of shows, albums, recordings, yet you're still out there doing it. I at the Arcada Theater, and all of us here in Chicago, along with so many other theater owners and clubs and theaters, appreciate you guys. You're still out there. Vinny, you're coming by us. You're coming by us with Last in Line. One day come by us in Black Sabbath. But we got Last in Line coming. Of course, Carmine Vanilla Fudge is hopefully on the docket to come. Cactus, you're still doing it, and we still love it. We can't wait for that Cactus reunion. Really can't wait. Danny, what can I say? CTA, you're still hanging and banging with all the music from Chicago.
Hanging and banging with your brothers.
Well, not only all the, people have to understand that CTA band is so incredible because it's not just solely, which is enough, all the songs from Chicago. It's a great Chicago experience. There's a lot of Chicago tribute bands out there, but very few or none really have an original in there, doing it the way it was done on the albums. And not only do you get that Chicago music, but you get some CTA, some great music by CTA, a little more jazz rock. I love it. So you get it's a full package.
Hey, Ron, this sounds like a commercial. Hold on a minute.
Well, it is. It's great. I'm a fan. I'm sorry.
Vinny, Carmine, I paid him. Come on.
I know. I'm a fan for all you guys, man. I'm sorry. I get out of hand sometimes.
I saw them at the Iridium. They were awesome.
Well, I get out of hand sometimes because I'm such a fan of all 3 of you guys. I'm the lucky one here. So I love you guys, and thank you.
Don't forget
you got to watch out when Danny puts his hand in his jacket.
Yeah, I know. For any of us.
No, the thing is, there was nothing there. That's the scary part. There was nothing there, Vinny. I mean, it was a complete bluff job.
But you had the face. It didn't matter. You went,
I had the face.
Look.
I gave him the
look of a
don't even think about it. Don't even think about it.
The look of a pissed off drummer. You don't want that.
Yeah.
Well, I also want to thank Steve Love, put this together. Our producer, Ben Wheeler, always doing a great job for us.
Yeah,
this is Artists on Lockdown. Yeah. Once again, Vinny Appice, Carmine Appice, and the legendary, of course, Danny Seraphine.
Danny, thank you for being here. And next week we got another good friend, Slim Jim Phantom.
Oh, tell him hi for me, okay?
I will.
Absolutely.
Vinny, take care. Keep in touch with me. I'm in Vegas now, guys. So please call me and hook up with me. I miss you guys. I want to see you.
Too, man.
Ronnie, I love you. I'll see you soon, Mike.
See you soon, bro.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Ron.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Bye.